Okay, so the grape Shiraz, also known as Syrah, constant sort of debate, should we call it Shiraz, should we call it Syrah? But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I don't think the grape itself really cares. Yeah, so Shiraz is something that does particularly well in South Africa. So if you look at its origins, it comes from an area in France called the Rhone Valley, and particularly the Northern Rhone. And in the Northern Rhone, they make particularly, I would say, kind of long-lived wines, so sort of quite full-bodied red wines from Syrah. And if you look at the soil in the Northern Rhone, they have a lot of granite, and we have a lot of granite as well, so there's a similarity there. If you look at the climate in the Northern Rhone, even though the latitude is quite far north, you know, they also have kind of very hot summers. The climate is perhaps a little bit more continental, where ours is a little bit more Mediterranean. But there are some similarities. So Shiraz or Syrah in South Africa, it's one of those grapes that just kind of grows. So if you speak to the farmers, they'll say, well, Shiraz just doesn't have a handbrake. It just carries on and on. And the shoots tend to kind of get quite long. You'll hardly ever find Shiraz grown as a bush vine. It tends to be grown in a trellis that's supported by wires. And the reason for that is that the shoots can really blow around in the wind and tend to get damaged. There's some other grapes which have kind of sturdier, more upright shoots. Shiraz tends to be kind of floppy and blows it around. So we like to support it with the trellis system. These grapes, we're about probably 2 weeks away from harvest. So those are the little berries. It's you know, we off the back of a few dry years. The berries are particularly small this year. Sometimes they're a bit bigger than that. But compared to a table grape, of course, this is very small, and you can see it's you know, kind of quite black. You know, similar to the wine we make with it, it's sort of quite, you know, we make wine with a very deep black color. Look, it's quite interesting. You can actually make it in various styles. It's quite a kind of a pliable grape. I'd say in South Africa the tradition is to make quite full-bodied wines. Often the alcohol is 14 or even higher. There's a lot of color. And even though there's a lot of tannin, it tends to have this kind of almost kind of sweet spot in the palate. And when I say sweet, I don't mean sugar. It's just kind of quite plump, and you don't pick up the tannins like you would in a Cabernet, for example. So that's one way of making it. Of course, you can make it in lighter styles as well. And some of the kind of smaller producers are now playing around with these kind of lighter, more fresh styles of Syrah. The man style, I would say, is almost somewhere in between. It definitely is full-bodied, but yeah, at the same time, it's got a certain freshness to it.